Mobile app development podcast. So this podcast is all about how we can develop your mobile app, that is either Android app or ISO. Okay, and our main focus for this podcast is going to be on how to develop your first Android app, and then you post it right on Play Store. Okay, so we are going to look at the platforms. We are going to look at three platforms, and then we are going to take a look at the positive and then the negative side of each platform, how you can build your Android app as fast as you can using each of these three platforms that we are going to mention right inside its podcast. Okay, and the podcast is made in such a way that even if you are a complete beginner, you don't know anything about mobile app development, that is to build your own app, this podcast is made just for you. Okay, so it is beginner friendly, and all that we are going to concentrate on is how you can use AI to build your own mobile app. Okay. And as I said, we are concentrating on the platform that is Android. Okay. So we are concentrating on how you can build your own Android app using AI. Okay. So this is all that we are going to look at: building the app, the platform that you are going to use to build it, how you can use them as fast as you can to build your app without coding, even as a complete beginner. Okay, and then we monetize our app right on Play Store. So if this is something that you are interested in, then this podcast is for you. So let's get right into it. Okay, so let's look at how coding has come so far. Okay, so gone are the days before anyone can build an app, the person has to be a programmer. Okay, so as a programmer, you need to go to school or you have to train yourself from online sources. So what they do was that they spend time learning how to code, and as a coder, you learned the programming and everything that comes along with it. So you become an app developer. Okay, so gone are the days, only those who knew coding were able to build apps. They are the mobile dives. Okay, the mobile dives. These people were the ones who were able to build apps. And as I said, as we are looking at Android platform, the only people who were able to build Android apps that you use on your mobile phone were the mobile developers. Okay, that is the mobile app developers. If you don't know coding, there was no way that you'll be able to even build any app and install it right on your Android phone. But system has changed, technology is moving as fast as it can, and now it has become so easy that even somebody without even coding experience at all can now build their own Android apps, and you can install it right on your phone by simply using AI platforms. And it's so interesting how far AI has brought us. Okay, so this podcast is going to highlight, showcase the advantage that you have, even if you are not a dive. Okay, even if you don't know coding, you have no experience at all when it comes to coding. This podcast is going to showcase and then brighten your eyes to let you know how you can even use AI platforms that you can use to build your own Android apps. And the good news is that when you are able to build it, you can monetize it and then you can make money from it. So as I said, the bridge has grabbed the gap between those who are not coders. That is the bridge. Is there is now a bridge that was the bridge that was between those who didn't know coding and those who knew coding has now been taken, right? So there is no bridge between those who don't know coding and those who know coding. So that is what I mean. Okay, so now people that we need right now are problem solvers. The truth is, if you know coding or you don't know coding, that doesn't matter, since AI can now do the coding for you. So now the people that we need right now are problem solvers. So we need people who have the ability to sit down and then look at our daily problems that we are facing and then find a way to come out with an idea to solve those problems. And then with the help of AI, you can now use them to build and then make your imaginations become reality. Okay, so there is no bridge between those who don't know coding and those who know coding, because AI is now doing everything. Okay, so that is what you are going to look at. Okay, so what I will encourage anybody who is listening to this podcast is that find time, okay, and then look at the problems that is around us and try to come out with ideas. That is the first stage of every developer. We are there to help people solve their daily problems. Okay, so let's take a look at WhatsApp app that we use right now. Okay, so some of the messaging apps that we use, and well, one of them is the popular one that I'm talking about, that is WhatsApp. Okay, so somebody got to know that before you be able to communicate, you need an app. Okay, so before you be able to communicate with your loved ones, you need an app in order to communicate with them. So these people were able to come out with WhatsApp so that you can communicate with your loved one no matter where they are. Okay, so they were able to solve the problem of communication between you and your loved one. And that brought about WhatsApp. We have so many apps on our mobile phone that help us to solve problems as well. You can even take a look at the calculator per se. Okay. So when you take a look at a calculator, you see, let's go more specific. Let's take a look at a scientific calculator. So there are some kind of maths that you cannot solve without the use of calculator. Okay, so that was a problem, and now somebody was able to come out with the solution to it, and the person were able to develop the app called scientific calculator. That's now with the help of scientific calculator you can solve huge maths. Okay, so that is the first step of app development. You have to have an idea that solves a problem. So as long as you have an idea that solves a problem, then you are good to go. Okay, so let me take a look at this, like how I was able to come out with my first idea. And I wouldn't say I've built the app, but we are still working on it. So the first idea that I was able to come out with, and that I was able to come up with an app, was that I was finding it difficult to get a green screen. Like if I wanted to record myself using the phone camera, I wanted a green screen, like my background. I wanted my background to be green so that I can change my background to any background that I prefer. Okay, so I was not getting a green cloth, okay, around me, whereby I was simply go and buy the green cloth and then put it and then use it as my background. Okay, so I wanted a way that I'll be able to have a green background so that I can sit down and record myself. And I was finding it difficult. So it was a problem for me to find a green background. They call it the green screen, so that I'll be able to record myself. So since it was a problem, I was like, okay, what if there was a way that you can develop an app that will automatically record you and then give you a fixed background that is the green? So you just build an app, and the app automatically removes your background and then replace it with a solid green background. Okay, so it is called the green screened recorder, or anything just like that. Okay, so the main idea here is that I want a green background so that I can sit and then record myself without you going to buy the cloth and then use it as my green background. And since that is a problem for me, the problem is I need a green background to record myself. I sat down and then I had the idea. And the idea was to build an app, and the app was to automatically remove my background and then replace it with a green screen using my phone camera. Okay, so I just press on record on my phone, and instead of it recording me with my actual background, it is going to remove my background. So instead of me recording with a green screen by simply going to buy a green cloth and then use it as my background, I'm simply going to press on my camera, and then the camera is automatically going to record me by simply removing my background, and then it replaces it with a solid green background. Okay, so that was the main idea, and I just had an idea to build an app called a green screen camera. Okay, so automatically when the app is built, the main function of the app is to simply record me, and then it will automatically replace my background with green. Okay, with green screen. So that is how to come out with an app idea. Okay, so you have to have a problem, and then the app needs to solve it. And then most of the app that even they are doing well on Play Store are apps that solves problems. Okay, so every app that solves problem, those apps they are doing well on Play Store. Okay, so that is how to actually come out with an app idea. In the first place, you have to be able to come out with an idea, and then that idea will result in you building an app. Okay, so that is the first thing. And as I said, now those are the people that we need. We need people who can come out with an ideas, and those ideas should resolve in solving problems. Okay, so now that you are able to have an idea, now that you know how to come out with an idea. Now that you have an idea, now you have to build your app. Okay, and you don't actually need to be a coder. You don't have to know coding and all that in order to be able to build that app. So what you are going to do now is that we are going to look at these three platforms that you can actually use to bring your app that is within your dreams into reality. Okay, this app that you have been dreaming about, this idea that you have, how can you bring it right into this world and then make it an app? So we are going to look at these platforms. Okay, so the first platform that we are going to look at is Google AI Studio. So Google AI Studio is the first platform that we are going to take a look at. So Google AI Studio is one of the best platform that how it has been designed, it is perfect for those who do not know coding, and as a complete beginner who don't know anything about coding, Google AI Studio is one of the best platform that you can start to bring your ideas into reality. They have so many things that you can actually use Google AI Studio to do. Okay, so when you go to the build, you'll see that you have so many. They have already built some app there that you can take a look at. We even have a place whereby you can simply draft, like you can sketch your idea, take a picture of it, upload it, and it is going to actually bring it into real live for you. Okay, and then you also have the option to chat with Gemini, and Gemini can actually build your app for you. So Google AI Studio is the first place that you can actually go to bring your app into life. Okay, and it is so easy to use. Okay, so when you are on Google AI Studio, you can simply chat with Gemini and then tell Gemini how you think your app should be, or you can even ask Gemini for app ideas if you don't even have any app, or if you don't even have any idea that you want to build your app around. Okay, so Google AI Studio is one of the best platform. And when you are able to build your app right inside Google AI Studio, the amazing aspect of it is that you can export your app, okay, in a zip file. So when you export your app in a zip file, you can simply upload it into VS Code, and then you can then transform it using Gemini, okay, the agent, and then you can just transform it into an Android Studio project whereby you can simply sync it right inside Android Studio and then build your APK that you can install it right on your phone, and it will be working perfectly fine on your Android phone. So as you can see, when you build your app right inside Google AI Studio, you haven't actually wasted any time at all. Anytime that you want to transform it into an Android app, it is simple and then easy, and you can find a total complete step-by-step guide on my channel, and you can watch how to do it. So that's the first platform that you can go to and then bring your app into life. Okay, so that is it. And then the second platform that we are going to take a look at is Google Antigravity. So Google Antigravity is one of the best platform that has been designed for those who do not know coding. Okay, so if you are interested in vibe coding, or if you want to know more about vibe coding, and if you want to use vibe coding to build your app, then Google Antigravity is also one of the best platform that you can go and then bring your app into life. Okay, so with Google Gravity, you have so many models that you can select. Okay, so you can pick Gemini 3 Pro, we have the high and then the low. And with that, you can simply ask Gemini to build your idea by simply chatting with it through vibe coding. So if you don't know vibe coding, let me say something small about it. So just see vibe coding as talking to your friend about your idea, and then your friend then gives you the exact thing that you wanted to know or you wanted your app to be. So that is vibe coding. So see your friend as the AI, either Gemini, ChatGPT. See that ChatGPT as your friend, and then you talk to the ChatGPT or the AI about your app. So as you are talking to it about your app, then ChatGPT is then going to build your app for you through the chat. So that is it. So vibe coding is simply talking to the AI through chat. Okay, you just talk to AI through chat, and then it brings your app into life. But one of the days there wasn't any vibe coding. You just sit down, as I said, as a developer, you will sit down and then you are going to type each code word by word, line by line. Okay. And after that, you are then going to bring your app into life. And sometimes it takes even a coder almost 6 months to code a whole complete app, and then they are then going to run and then debug it. Okay, and sometimes even when you run the code, it might not work. So that is the challenge that coders were having. It takes so much time to build an app, but now it can just take you seconds to bring your ideas into life using vibe coding and then this platform that I've mentioned. Okay, so Google Antigravity is one of the best platform out there that anybody who doesn't know coding, or anybody who wants to use AI to build their apps very fast, can use it. Okay, and I also have a full video, a complete guide on how you can use these platforms to build your own app and install it right onto your Android phone. Okay, so anti-gravity is one of the best. Okay, so with anti-gravity, you can actually build the APK right inside anti-gravity. Anti-gravity Gemini inside anti-gravity will not be able to build the APK for you, but there is a way to build it, okay, whereby you simply combine Android Studio with anti-gravity and you'll be able to build a complete Android app. Okay, so with that one too, I have a full video on it on my channel. You can check it anytime and then know exactly how to build it. Okay, so that is it. All that you have to do is to simply have the idea. Just go to anti-gravity, you just chat with Gemini, and that is it. Gemini is going to actually build your app for you. Okay, so the other platform, that is the last platform that we are going to talk about in this podcast, is none other but Android Studio. Okay, so Android Studio is the final stage. When you have done building your app, you have to take all to Android Studio so that you'll be able to build your APK. Okay, so recently Android Studio also launched this AI which you can actually find it right inside Android Studio. Okay, so they launched the agent mode, and then with the help of the agent mode, you can actually build apps right inside Android Studio through vibe coding. As I said, just chatting with ChatGPT or any of the chat bots, okay, right inside Android Studio. So recently, the one that is actually inside Android Studio is Gemini. Okay, so you can chat with any of the Gemini models right inside Android Studio, and then you'll be able to build your complete fully app. Okay, so with Android Studio, you can simply actually create what is called empty views activity. Okay, so after creating an empty views activity, you can then ask Gemini, that is the agent mode, Gemini right inside Android Studio, to complete your app for you by simply telling it and then describing in detail exactly what your app is all about. Okay, so when you describe in detail exactly what your app is all about, Gemini is going to build your app and complete it for you. Okay, so this is actually awesome that you can build any app right inside Android Studio. Okay, so now that we know all these platforms, as I said, I first mentioned Google AI Studio, and then I've also mentioned Antigravity, and finally I talked about Android Studio. Now let's look at how fast can you build your app. As I said, we are concentrating on building Android apps. So how fast can you build your Android app, okay, using any of these platforms? Okay, so the first one that we are going to take a look is, let's look at Google AI Studio. So how fast can you build your app using Google AI Studio? So I would say that it is very fast. I have tried it and I was so amazed. All that you have to do is to simply give it a prompt, and then within some few minutes, it is simply going to build your app for you, and you can run and then test it right inside Google AI Studio. Okay, so it is awesome and it's amazing. So you can actually build a web app, okay, right inside Android Studio. Okay, so a web app, if you don't know much about web apps, it's simple. You can actually run it online using your internet. Okay, so you just have to have your web browser, and then you can actually run it right on the internet. Okay, and then you can also make Gemini design the app in such a way that it can also fit right on your phone. Okay, and then with Google AI Studio, you can also use it using your PC, and then you can also use it using your mobile phone. Okay, so you can use either of them. You can use your phone to build it, and then you can also use the laptop to build it as well. So it is one of the platform that is actually user beginner friendly. Okay, you can build a complete app for completely free, and it is very fast as well. So what are the other side, that is, or what are the downside of using Google AI Studio to build an Android app? So as I said, we are fully concentrating on building Android app and then installing it right onto your mobile phone. Okay, so you can build your idea, everything right inside Google AI Studio. But the downside of it is that after building your app, you cannot actually create the APK or build the APK that you are going to install right on your Android phone right inside Google AI Studio. Okay, so when you build your app right inside Google AI Studio, so let's say that you have an idea, and then the idea is to build a traveling app. Okay, so this app will just guide you on your travel. Okay, so you just build this app inside Google AI Studio. You will not be able to create the APK inside Google AI Studio and then install it right onto your mobile phone. No, you will not be able to do it. So you'll be able to build the app right inside Google AI Studio. You can test it and then run it right inside Google AI Studio. But in order to build the APK that you'll be able to install it right onto your Android phone, you have to export it in a zip file. Okay, so after building your app and testing it and then seeing that it is working perfectly fine, you then have to export it from Google AI Studio. Okay, and after exporting it, you have to take it right inside VS Code. Okay, so VS Code is a code editor that you can actually use to build it. So see VS Code as, let's say, if you want to type anything, okay, if you want to type anything right on your phone, you have to open a test app, okay, whereby you're able to type whatever thing that you want to type on your phone. So see VS Code as your code editor. So if you want to type any code or if you want to write any code, you have to open VS Code. So see VS Code as that. So you have to then take the exported zip file, you have to unzip it. Okay, so after unzipping it, you have to install VS Code right on your system, and then you have to open your unzipped folder inside VS Code and launch Gemini in your terminal and ask Gemini to convert it from Google AI Studio project to an Android Studio project. So after Gemini converting it right into Google AI Studio project, then you are going to then sync it. Okay, sync the whole thing, the whole project inside Android Studio. Then you'll be able to build your APK. Even with that, when you build it first, you are going to get a debug APK that you have to always connect it with the PC that you use it to build the debug APK. You have to always be with it using your phone. It is not a standalone APK. Okay, so when you install that APK on your phone after building it right inside Android Studio, it is not going to come unless you are on the same Wi-Fi where you used to build your APK. Okay, on the system that you used to build your APK. If you want it to be a standalone without you actually being on the same Wi-Fi with the system that you used to build your debug APK, you have to go to the next step by building a release APK. Okay, so you have to build a release APK from the debug APK that you have built. And then after building a release APK, it is then that you'll be able to install it right onto your Android phone for it to work. So this is the process. You have an idea, you want to create a mobile app, okay, for your Android phone. And as I said, the idea is a traveling app which is going to guide you on your travel. And then you go right inside Google AI Studio, you do vibe coding, you chat with Gemini, that is the chat AI inside Google AI Studio. You chat with it, and then Gemini is going to build your app for you as fast as it can. Then you are going to test it. You see that your app is working perfectly fine, and you want to install it right onto your phone so that you can go ahead and then give it a try. But in order to do that, you have to go through this process. First, you have to take it to your code editor, that is VS Code, and then you have to launch Gemini in your terminal, okay, and ask Gemini to convert it. That is the app that you built inside Google AI Studio. You have to convert it into an Android Studio project. And then after Gemini converting it into an Android Studio project, you then have to go to Android Studio. You have to sync your project. You first have to build a debug APK that is not a standalone APK. And then you have to make a standalone APK. It is called a release APK from the debug. So with the release APK, that is the one that you'll be able to take right onto your phone and then install it. So as you can see, it is easy to build your app inside Google AI Studio, but the process to be able to get the app and then install it on your phone is very long. Okay, so you have to build the app, you have to take it to your code editor, you have to convert it into an Android Studio project, you have to build a debug APK, a release APK, then you'll be able to install it right onto your mobile phone. So that is the side effect of Google AI Studio. It is easy to build the app, but if you want to use it or if you want to install it as an APK right on your phone, you have to go through so many processes. Okay, so that is the downside of Google AI Studio, but it is perfect for web app. If you only want to use your app without actually making an APK and then installing it right on your phone, then Google AI Studio is perfect and it is beginner friendly. As I said, it is good for vibe coding. They even have that feature inside Google AI Studio whereby you can simply vibe code and then create your app. Okay, so that is Google AI Studio and that is the side effect of it as well. Now let's go to the new platform that I really love, and that is Google Antigravity. Okay, so Google has done an amazing job by bringing Google Antigravity. So, as I said, when you have your code editor that is VS Code, you actually have to either install or connect your models. Okay, either ChatGPT, we have Gemini and all that, and then you have to launch them right inside your terminal. But this time they have built this platform just as I said, just as VS Code as your code editor, but they have made it in such a way that you can actually use your agent, that is Gemini, to build your app. You don't even have to launch it inside your terminal. They have made it in such a way that you can actually chat with it and it has access to your terminal already, and it is awesome. Okay, so let's look at the other side of anti-gravity. That is the second platform that we are talking about. Okay, so anti-gravity, actually you don't actually have to go through so many process if you want to build your APK and then install it right onto your phone. It is so easy. Okay, it is not like building the app inside Google AI Studio and then going through so many processes to get your APK and install it on your phone. Okay, so with anti-gravity, if you want to build an app, first you have to actually go to Android Studio. Okay, that is the final part. You just have to go to Android Studio and then you have to create what is called a skeleton. Okay, you have to create a skeleton for your app. Look at human beings. Human beings, we have skeleton, and that is what our whole human being is built upon. Okay, so you're up to you. You need an app skeleton, and the app skeleton is called an empty views activity. Okay, so you have to go to Android Studio, and then you have to build this empty views activity for your app. So now that you have your app skeleton, you can simply come here to Antigravity, that is Google Antigravity, and then you can simply open your app skeleton right inside Google Antigravity. You just simply have to just create the folder, as I said, for your app using using Android Studio, okay, and then you name it how you want your app to be. Then you come and then you open Antigravity, that is Google Antigravity, and then you simply open that folder inside Google Antigravity. And then after opening it, that, as I said, is the skeleton of your app. So after opening the skeleton of your app right inside Antigravity, it is then simple to build your app. So now that you have your app skeleton inside Google Antigravity, you can simply choose the model, okay? And by default, Gemini 3 Pro High is selected, and that is all you need. Okay, you can simply ask it to build your app for you, okay, by simply giving it a detailed description of your app, and then that is it. It is going to build upon your app skeleton the flesh of your app, and the flesh of your app is the code and everything that comes along with it. Okay, and one amazing aspect of it is that you have Nano Banana inside Google Antigravity. Okay, so when it comes to images, Antigravity can actually generate the images for you. Okay, and then it can even generate the PNG images of your app. And that brings about the good news. Every app needs an app icon. Okay, so when you look at your phone, all the apps that you have installed, you see those small images that you see that you can tap on it for your app to open. It is called an app icon. Okay, and Google Antigravity Gemini 3 Pro can actually create those images for you. Okay, so Gemini can build and then create your app, and then it can also generate the app icon for you, and that is amazing. Okay, so as you can see, with your app skeleton inside Google Antigravity, you can ask Gemini 3 Pro to build your app for you, and it can create all the images that comes with your app, okay? And it can also create your app icon right inside Google Antigravity, and it is completely free. You don't have to pay anything, and that is awesome. So they have some limits, and then with the free plan, that is all you need. If you are not going to be giving it high task and all that, the free plan is all that you need to build your complete app. Okay, so you might ask me, what are the downside of Google Antigravity? So the downside of Google Antigravity is that after completely building your app, Google Antigravity Gemini 3 Pro inside Google Antigravity cannot build the APK for you. Okay, the debug APK, it cannot build it. It cannot build it right inside Google Antigravity for you to simply copy it from there and then use it on your phone and install the app and test it right on your phone. It cannot do that. That is the downside of Google Antigravity. Okay, so it can actually build your app for you, a complete Android app for you, but it cannot build the APK. So you then have to take the project, the completed app, the skeleton plus the flesh of the app. You just have to take it right inside Android Studio. As I said, that is the final place for all the apps that you build. You take it right inside Android Studio, and then from Android Studio you can simply sync your project and then build your APK. So that is the only downside of Google Antigravity. So hoping that maybe as time goes on, they are going to upgrade it to be able to build the APK right inside Antigravity. Okay, but for now, you cannot actually build your APK right inside Antigravity. After building your app, a complete project, you then have to sync it right inside Android Studio and then build your APK from there, okay, which you can install it right onto your phone. Okay, so that is the other side of Google Anti-Gravity, and it is perfect, awesome, and I love it. Okay, so now let's go to the last platform, and that is the final stage for all the apps that we are going to build, and that is Android Studio. Okay, so gone are the days before you be able to use Android Studio, you needed to be a dive. As I said, you needed to have some coding experience, okay, some coding knowledge and background in order to use Android Studio. So because of that, you will not find so many people who are actually building apps using AI to be used in Android Studio. Some of them don't even like the interface since it is not that user friendly. It is not beginner friendly. I'll say it, but as you keep using it, you become familiar with the platform. Okay, it is not that difficult. So it is not that simple, just as Google AI Studio and that of Anti-Gravity, Google Anti-Gravity. When you open it at first and you don't know coding and all that, you'll be like, really? So where should I start? But the more you keep using it, it becomes simple and easy. Okay, so that is Android Studio. So as I said, now Android Studio is having their agent mode. Okay, so you can actually build your whole app right inside Android Studio without actually going anywhere. You can build it. You don't have to go to Google AI Studio. You don't have to go to Antigravity. You can go straight to Android Studio and then you can build your full project right inside Android Studio. So with that, as I said, you can actually create your skeleton, your app skeleton inside Android Studio. Okay, and that is the empty views activity for your app. You can create it right inside Android Studio, and after creating your app skeleton, you can actually activate Gemini right inside Android Studio. Okay, and that is your agent. You can ask Gemini to complete your app and then build it for you without you actually going anywhere again. So you just you can cook the whole food in your kitchen without actually moving out of the kitchen. Okay, you have everything inside Android Studio, and I actually love Android Studio as well. It is one of the platform that when you start using it, it becomes so easy. Okay, but if you don't know much about it, it becomes somehow complicated, but when you start using it, it becomes easy. Okay, so if you want to build your app, as I said, you can build a whole skeleton inside it. Ask Gemini to build the app for you right inside Android Studio. And you can also vibe code as well, simply by chatting with Gemini to build your app. Okay, and you can use Gemini to do so many things, not only building the app, it can also build the APK right inside Android Studio. Okay, so one of the advantage of it is that you don't have to take it to anywhere. So you can build your app skeleton inside Android Studio. You can build your APK inside Android Studio, and you can simply ask Gemini to build it through vibe coding. You just ask it to build the app, you ask it to build the APK. It is going to give you a location that it has stored the APK or save the APK. You can simply go there, you can copy it and then install it right on your phone. Okay, so that APK is a ready APK. You don't have to build any release APK. So when you install it right on your phone, that is it. It is working perfectly fine. Okay, it is actually working perfectly fine. And the process is simple. You can build everything right inside Android Studio. You build an app skeleton, you ask Gemini to code it for you, the flesh of the app, and then after it, you can test it right inside Android Studio. All that you need to do is to simply connect a cable, okay, to your phone. So you have to have your phone, and then you use a USB cable, okay. You just plug in a USB cable, and then you connect it to your PC, okay. And when it comes, you simply have to allow doubling, that is USB doubling, okay. So from your phone settings, you just have to go to the developer options and then just allow USB doubling, okay. And the moment you allow USB doubling, you can simply hit run right inside Android Studio, and then your app will be shown and it will be installed directly on your phone, and you can actually test your app right inside Android Studio. So you see how cool it is. And after testing it to know that everything is working perfectly fine, then you can simply ask Gemini to build your APK for you, and it is going to show you the location where it has built it, and you can simply copy and then paste it right on your phone and then install it, and you can start using it. So you might also ask me, what is the downside? What is the downside of Android Studio? Is it having everything? No. The downside of Android Studio is that Gemini inside Android Studio cannot also create your app icon there. The PNG, okay, the image, it does not have the nano banana feature as Antigravity is having, okay. So you have to create your app icon already. You have to make sure that you have your app icon, and then you have to actually put your app icon inside before you ask Gemini to build your app for you, okay. So you have to go to your app, and then you go to the rest, and then you have to actually right click on it, go to new, and then from new you go to image asset, and then you can actually add your image, and that is the app icon. And then after that, you can ask Gemini to go ahead and then build your app for you. So that is the downside of Android Studio. We are hoping that as time goes on, they are going to add that feature so that you'll be able to build your app icon right inside Android Studio by simply asking Gemini inside Android Studio to build your app icon for you, whereby you don't have to go to external sources like actually Canva or any of the place whereby you can create your image and then come and then insert it right inside Android Studio so that you'll be able to continue to build your app. So that is it. You can actually build your app, do everything inside Android Studio. You can build your APK inside Android Studio, but you don't have the feature to create your app icon inside Android Studio. The PNG, that is the image, okay. You cannot actually use Gemini inside Android Studio to create the image, and that is the downside of it. So that is it. That is the downside of it. So that is the downside of all the platforms, okay. So you might also ask me, of all the platforms, which one do I prefer for a complete beginner? So I would say that as a complete beginner, test all the three. Okay, so you can first start with Google AI Studio. Just look at how easy it is to build your app inside Google AI Studio. Okay, and when you are okay with it, when you have tested the app and you see that, oh wow, this app is working perfectly fine. This is exactly how I wanted it. You don't actually have to continue the process. You can simply copy the codes, okay. You can copy the codes or export the code from Google AI Studio and then give the code to Gemini, okay. Gemini right inside Android Studio to build your whole app for you, and you can simply go ahead and then build your APK, okay. Or you can also take it into Antigravity and then ask Gemini in order to be able to get the future to build your app icon. You can ask Gemini inside Antigravity to also build it right inside Antigravity and then add your app icon and images right there. And you can then take it right inside Google. Sorry, you can then take it right inside Android Studio, and then you can build your APK and install it right onto your phone. So, as a complete beginner, I would say test all the three We are in Studio Antigravity and then Android Studio. And I have a full video that walks you through how to use all these, okay? And it is amazing and you will love it, okay? You can simply go to the channel, and the name of the channel is and educate, okay? You can simply go right to the channel, take your time, and then look at each of the videos. The full channel is about building AI apps, okay? Just utilizing AI to build apps. That is all the channel is now focusing on. So now that we have been able to build our app, we now have our APK. How do we monetize our app? Okay, so we have several ways that you can monetize your app. Okay, so the first one is through Play Store. Okay, you can take your app to Play Store, and then with Play Store, before you be able to post your app, you have to create a developer account. Okay, that is, you have to have an account whereby you publish your app there, and with that, it's actually you have to pay for it. Okay, you have to pay for it. I think the last amount that I recall was $25. So you needed to have a developer account that you have to actually register with $25. I don't know the current price now, so you can actually check it. Okay, so you have to have a developer account, and then you have to pay for the developer account. As I said, it is not that expensive, but $25 is something. So you have to have that developer account, and then you have to package your app, okay, ready for Android, for Play Store. Okay, so you have to package your app for Play Store, and then you also have to meet Play Store requirements, okay, before you be able to put your app right inside Play Store. And I'm going to mention some of these requirements. So you have to have a tester. Okay, you have to have at least, I think, 10 people to test your app to see that your app is working perfectly fine and it does not crashes. Okay, so you have to have people to test your app for Play Store to know that yes, your app is working perfectly fine and it does not crash. Okay, so you have to have testers. So take that in mind, that if you are building something, that you are going to share it with people to also come and then test for everybody to know that yes, your app is working perfectly fine. So that is it. And then you have to have a package name. Okay, so your app needs to have a package name. Okay, and that package name, you cannot change it. You cannot change your package name when you publish it on Play Store. Okay, so let's say that you pick a package name for your app. That is going to be the name for your app forever. Okay, you don't have to change it. Okay, and let me make this clear. Most beginners who publish their app on Play Store thinks that you have to have a domain name for your app. No, it is not compulsory. You don't have to have a domain name for your app. So, for those who don't know a domain name, see it as the name of a website. So, you can see any website that you visit, it is having its own unique name. Okay, so that name is the domain name. And with app, most beginners think that you have to have a domain name, it is required. And no, it is not required. You don't have to have a domain name in order to publish your app on Play Store, but you have to have a package name. Okay, in order to publish it. And the package name, you pick it yourself. It is completely free. You don't pay for the package name. You just pick a name. Just like when you have anything that you want to name it, you just name it the name you prefer. You don't have to pay for the name. Okay, so let's say you just go in for a new pet, and then you are like, I'm calling the pet this name, and that is it. It becomes the name. You don't have to pay for the name. You don't have to go and then buy the name for the pet, right? So that is how the package name is. You just pick any name that you prefer for your app, and that is it. It becomes the package name, and you don't have to go and then buy any domain for your app. But if you want to host something about your app online, you can make it professional by simply buying a domain, and then you just create a website for your app, like the privacy statement and all that. You can just publish them on the website if you actually want that. Okay, but as a complete beginner who wants to make money and don't have money enough, you can simply go with the package name and don't buy any domain. And when you start making money from your app, then you can actually buy a domain name for your brand. Okay, so that is it about Play Store. And after having a domain name, you also have to have this called, I think, the updating version name as well. Okay, so you have to make sure that, let's say, if you update your app, you can say that the version is version 1.0. Okay, so the next time you update it, you will take it to, let's say, version 1.01. Then the next time you update it, you take it to version 1.02, and it goes on and on and on. Okay, so you have to make an update. You always have to gradually continue to update your app. It is very important, because if you don't, mostly your app is not going to show up at the first spot. Okay, when you type, let's say when somebody go to Play Store and then a person search for your app name, your app might not show. You have to consistently upgrade or update your app. Okay, so that is also very important. And then you also have to have the real name for the app. Let's say your app is about, let's say, gaming. Let's say you can say blog gaming app. Okay, or you can say anything. You just have to have the name for it, and then the name has to be short. It doesn't have to be too long. Okay, so you have to have the name, and then you have to have a description for your app, and you have to describe something about your app. Okay, you are going to put it in a description, and you have to add keywords that people will be searching for about your app inside the description, and also in the title of your app. Okay, and then you have to also have to upload a screenshot of your app. At least you have to upload 8 to 9 or 10 screenshot of your app, showing exactly how your app launches, how it works, for people who want to have a look at your app before they install it to see. It is so important. You have to have a screenshot for your app when you are uploading or publishing your app on Google Play Store. Okay, so these are very important, and then you have to have them whenever you want to actually take your app right to Play Store. So that is the first way that you can monetize your app, using the Play Store ads. So when people install your app and then they are using it on the internet, it is not an offline app. Play Store is going to show ads, and then when the people watch the ads and then react to the ads, you are going to be paid for it. Okay, so that is the first way that you can make money from your app. And then through download, when people download your app, the more they download it, the more your money. Okay, so that one too is there. And then we also have an in purchase also right inside your app. So you can make a feature that you can only use it, you have to pay. Okay, so before you be able to use that feature, you need to pay money, and that one too is there. So that is the in purchase. So if anybody wants to use that portion of your app, let's say, as we just looked earlier, let's say a travel and guide app. So before you be able to use, let's say, a translator, okay, like speech to speech translate inside your traveling app, you have to pay for that portion so that you'll be able to use it. So that is it as well. Okay, so These are the most ways that you can actually make money from your app from Play Store. Okay. And one question that I will clarify is that somebody might ask, does Google pay you when you use AI to build your app? Yes. And then the answer is completely yes. Google pays you when you use AI to build your app and then you publish it right on Play Store. Google doesn't care, like Play Store doesn't care. Okay, Play Store doesn't actually care about how you build the app. All that they care is that you meet their requirements when publishing it on Play Store. Okay, the app doesn't have to be scam. The app doesn't have to crash and all that. You have make sure that you have test your app, and then you have your package name. Everything is working perfectly fine. You have your screenshot and everything. Okay, they don't actually care if you use Gemini or if you use Google AI Studio, if you use all these platforms to actually build your app. Okay, you just have to meet their requirements, and that is it. So if you use AI to build your app the right way and you meet Play Store requirements and then you upload your app, yes, they are actually going to pay you. Okay, so that is it. And the good news is that now anybody at all, even if without coding skills or you don't have coding, you can actually build your app using AI. And that is awesome. Okay, so far I hope you have actually learned a lot in this podcast. As we just mentioned earlier, we now know how to come out with the idea when you want to build your app. We know the platforms that you can go to and then bring your ideas into reality. We now know how to install it on your phone and test it and see that it's working perfectly fine before you actually take it right to Play Store and then you monetize it and make money. So someone might also ask me that, so where do you actually make your app ready or package it ready and then you take it right to Play Store? And it is all done in Android Studio. Okay, so that one too is easy. And I have all these videos right on my channel and you can check it right on the channel. Okay, so that is it. I hope you have learned a lot. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment down section and see you in my next podcast.